So I went, and my experience wasn't the greatest. Hey everybody, it's Elle back for another TTC update. Okay everybody, so as I told you before, I was signed up for all these different doctor's appointments, and one of the most recent ones that I had was a high-risk OB appointment. So I was a little confused as to why I was sent to a high-risk OB as kind of a pre-consult, but again, this is MGH and I'm feeling very taken care of there, and so I'm sure that they just wanted to get kind of a bigger picture of everything that's gone on with me, kind of fertility-wise and blood clotting-wise and all of that. So I went, and my experience wasn't the greatest. Okay, so my experience was fine. They were very, very in-depth. This was an older male obstetrician, and was very, asked so many questions, and some of them I didn't know the answers to, and when I didn't know the answer to a question, he was like extremely skeptical. So for example, he asked me about the potential protein S deficiency thing, and so I talked to him about, oh yeah, I was tested in college, and they said, oh, and he was like, well, did you know what your number was and everything? And I was like, well, I have those forms, let me get them to you, and so I did, and he's like, oh, well, was this taken while you were on birth control? And I said yes, and he said, oh, well, then those numbers are wrong, and we need to retest you because every person's protein S goes down when they're on birth control, or like a whole bunch of people's does. So I said, okay, so we're gonna retest, and then, so that was all fine, but then he was like super skeptical about my endometriosis. He was like, wait, so you had leg pain? And they said it was endometriosis, and I was like, yes. So for those that don't know, how I found out I had endometriosis is I was having extreme leg pain, and it was only during certain parts of my cycle, and it got so bad that I was hospitalized for it, and when they did an MRI, they saw an inflamed nerve, but it was only there during certain parts of my cycle. So I had this amazing doctor piece it all together and figure out that it was endometriosis, and that it was coming and going every single part of my cycle during certain parts. So they put me on birth control, and that pretty much fixed it temporarily. And then we went back off of birth control later on down the road, and the endometriosis has definitely kind of come back, but the leg pain isn't nearly as bad as it was before. It's basically shrunken up, and I still have like abdominal pain and pelvic pain, but it's very manageable off of birth control. And so it was funny. So I told all of this to him, and he was like, I've never seen anybody with it in their leg before. And I was like, well, that's what they said, and like I was in nursing school at the time, and I'm a nurse now, but like I'm not a doctor, and that's what they diagnosed me with. So, and he was like, well, I just don't think that's possible. And I just like totally let it go. But if you Google it, there are people that have had it in their brain and in their lung. Like, it is actually possible for it to go anywhere in the human body. So I thought that was kind of funny, and I just kind of let it go, and it's just like, okay. But I always kind of dislike when doctors are not believing of like your problems. I don't know. I just did not feel very validated in this appointment, but I just went along with it, and it was like this. It was at the end of the day. This guy was like obviously kind of grumpy and like ready to be done. So he just took a really extensive family history. He wrote everything down. So that was good, I guess. He just wanted more of a background on everything. And so he was very, very thorough and put everything into the computer, which was good. And then he retested me for the protein S, and it was negative! Yay! So that is the biggest news so far, is that so I was gonna see a hematologist, and we wound up canceling that appointment because he was like, well, I can just do the testing for you for blood clotting issues, and if they all come back fine or within normal range, or like negative, what we say, then you don't have to see the hematologist, because they're going to tell you the same thing that I do, is that if it comes back as totally fine and within range, then you're totally fine. But if any, and he said, and I'll let you know, but if anything comes back not in normal range, then you do need to see a hematologist. So I was super, super excited. I just found out, which is why I'm just making this video now. I just got the letter today in the mail saying that all my levels were totally within normal range, including protein S, and so the low protein S that I had before was caused by birth control, and he doesn't think it'll happen during pregnancy. So everything has been cleared away. I am still a little bit skeptical, only because of my mom's history of having, you know, 2 DVTs and miscarriages and things like that, that just, you know, people don't just like get DVTs or deep vein thrombosis. That's usually from a blood clotting thing. So I'm still a little skeptical, but I am going to officially go with it and say that I do not have a blood clotting disorder, which I'm super happy about, and that I think sorry, there's like someone right outside. But I do think that when I am officially pregnant, I might ask to get those levels rechecked, even if it seems redundant and silly, just to make sure that everything is okay and that I'm not developing a blood clotting condition while pregnant. So anyways, that was just about the high-risk obstetrician. We are just doing these little appointments and waiting to kind of be set up for the next infertility adventure. So anyways, that's it for now, guys, and if you like, subscribe. Bye!